matters. It came a little late.
Okay. Need green, okay. Okay, it's good though? It's been
Yeah,
reviewed, right?
vetted. I believe Chris gave it, or I'm sorry, Chris. Kevin gave it the okay as well.
All right.
Sorry, have it.
Okay, Kevin? Yeah,
Yes,
I mean, not Chris, Kevin.
it's Chris's wedding anniversary today. We miss her. Yes, I have looked at it and approved it, or at least said, I should say I looked at it and gave the okay based on the information I received from engineering. And I just wanted to make sure there was a green sheet. That's all I said, I think. I don't know if we need a green sheet for that or not. Okay, so we would need, I don't know if there's a green sheet. That's, I think, what my note was. Do we have a green sheet?
Okay.
Okay. Dean?
Jonathan just reported that it had just got received and it
I'm
should come up
sorry, yeah.
in
Got
later
it.
action.
I was looking at.
Yeah, you were busy.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I recommend we approve the agreement with VS Engineering.
And I'll concur. Item B, correspondence received from 3rd District Councilman Anthony Higgs requesting $8,685.50 of gaming funds be allocated for the 2019 street overlay program. The sheet has been signed, the request has been signed by the councilman as well as the mayor,
I recommend we approve Councilman Higgs' request.
and I'll concur. Item C, correspondence received from 5th District Councilman Dave Warple requesting $75,000 of gaming funds be allocated for park improvement in the 5th District. The request has been signed by the councilman as well as Mayor McDermott.
I recommend we approve Councilman Whirple's request.
And I'll concur. Item D, correspondence received from Chief of Police John Doty submitting the notice of probationary officer Taylor Hensley's termination of employment effective October 28, 2019. The promotion of officers Brett Bach, David DeBoer, David Horniak, Juan Ortiz, and Brian Weber to the rank of first-class patrolman and disposal authorizations. Phantasm.
Nice. You took the pressure off me, too.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to continue going. Bam. I recommend we approve Chief Doty's request.
And I'll concur. Item E, demolition hearings on property located at 2647 162nd Place Garage only.
Good morning to the board. On this property,
Time, okay.
Mr. Kearney has been contacted by the owner, who has apparently done some work. However, it was done without permits and an inspection. So what we're going to do is kick this over for status for December 5th. For a status, hopefully by that time there'll be an inspection and we'll have it off the list. But for now, we're just going to kick it over for status.
Okay. Do you want me to read all these, or you want to go one at a time?
One at a time.
Okay. Okay, the next one will be 2631 163rd Place Front and Garage.
Yes, I believe that was a bad address we gave to Lynn. It's 2632. The owner's listed as actually Doris Stemper Trust. However, it did sell on tax sale to Lake County Liens. I had an email from Jamie Driscoll, who's the attorney for Lake County Liens. He's indicated that they're going to have the tax deed in December, and he's going to pay for an inspection, I believe. So what we're going to do on this is request the order be entered, and we'll move along. So based on the condition of the property and good service, we would move for affirming the order.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to affirm the findings. of this.
Okay, for 2632 163rd Place, I recommend we affirm the demolition order.
And I'll concur. Next will be 7208 Alexander Avenue.
7208 Alexander, the owner is listed as Gagliardi, who lives on Pine Street. The condition of the property shows an open back door, insulation falling from the soffit, open windows in the basement, and a boarded-up garage. The interior photos, I think police had to come in. There's a, real bad mess on the inside. And we haven't had any contact from the owner, so based on the condition of the property, the fact that we do have good service, we'd request that the order be affirmed as presented.
Okay. I'm going to recommend that we affirm the demolition order for 7208 Alexander Avenue.
And I'll concur. 4940 Ash Avenue.
4940 Ash is shown, it must be a foreclosure. Wells Fargo is the owner. Unstable porch, boarded up structure, and when the photos were taken over the summer, there was a lot of overgrown material around the property. It's a property that probably, if given some attention, could be rehabbed. However, given the current condition of the property, no contact from the bank, we'd request the order be entered as presented. We do have good service.
Okay. I recommend that we affirm the order for demolition for 4940 Ash Avenue.
And I'll concur. 4407 through 4409 Baltimore Avenue front.
Yes, 4407-09 Baltimore. The owner's listed as Garza. Water's been off for 3 years. There's been multiple citations with no response. Some asphalt siding. Here you can see starting to come down. Fences, there's a bunch of debris in the yard as well. Given the condition of the property and that we have good service, we would request that the order be affirmed as presented.
Okay, I recommend we affirm the order for demolition for 4407 through 09 Baltimore Avenue.
And I'll concur. 1003 Bauer Street Garage.
Yes, the owners are the Jelkses. They've been in contact with Mr. Kearney, and they're getting estimates. We're going to give them some time to do that. We'd request that the order, however, be affirmed as presented and set over for status, though, for December 5th. We'll determine at that time whether we're going to bid it out, but we do want to have the order in just to keep their feet to the fire regarding the estimates.
Okay, my recommendation then is we affirm the demolition order, however, we're setting it for December 5th for status.
And I'll concur. 5461 Calumet Avenue.
Yes, so this is the church that sits right on Calumet Avenue near Lafayette School. Pretty big brick structure. The unfortunate, you might remember they came in for the parade down to the new location. So that's a good thing that they relocated over on 169th where Mount Zion used to be. The sad thing is that this building, the main beam has failed, and they're aware of it. They just pulled an asbestos inspection permit. An asbestos permit. We're hoping and we believe that the insurance company is going to pay for the demolition, but we want to make sure we get this order in. So given the condition of the property, the structural damage and failure, we'd request the order be entered as presented. We do have good service.
Okay, I recommend we affirm the demolition order for 5461 Calumet Avenue.
I'll concur. 5533 Calumet Avenue.
5533 Calumet. I just want to make sure the board's aware of this property. Okay, it sits right not far from here, from City Hall. There's an indication that there may be an apartment in there. There might be some flop house type situation going on, but given the condition of it, it's owned by a LLC. We've had no indication that water's been on since February of 2012. So we would request that given the condition of the property and service on the owner, that the order be affirmed as presented.
Okay. I'm going to recommend we affirm the demolition order for 5533 Calumet Avenue.
And I'll concur. 3887 Cameron Avenue Garage.
And I apologize to the board. This was another one where the address didn't make the agenda properly. It's 3837 Cameron Avenue Garage, owned by the Sagans. The garage is in pretty poor shape. As you can see by the photos, we do have good service. We would request that the order be affirmed as presented.
Okay, Okay, I recommend we affirm the demolition order for 3837 Cameron Avenue.
And I'll concur. 1006 Chicago Street.
Yes, the owners listed as Jimenez's, the Jimenez's who live on 178th Street. The property's had multiple inspections and has rotten supports and electrical issues and other interior work with no permits. The water's been off since 2016. It appears that there might have been some graffiti on the front that was painted over, in pretty bad shape. Based on my conversation with Mr. Kearney, he would request that the demolition order be affirmed as presented. We do have good service.
Okay, I recommend we affirm the demolition order for 1006 Chicago Street.
And I'll concur. 27 Elizabeth Street
Yeah,
front.
this is a curious one because the property is owned by Ms. Shaquila Hart. She also owned a property at 430 Highland, is that right? 430 Highland, which was getting rehab, but there was some police activity there, I believe, maybe an arrest of her boyfriend or her husband or something like that, and then he was doing the rehab of the property. It actually was getting rehabbed pretty well, but there's been no movement on this property since. I know Ms. Hart called our office and was attempting to get the bond that she had on the Highland Street address transferred over to the Elizabeth Street address, which we were actually entertaining, but we haven't had any contact from her in some time.
2016.
Yeah, so I actually talked to her this year about the bond.
Nothing on the houses?
Nothing on the house in 16. So we're hoping that maybe the demolition order will get somebody to either be interested in purchasing it or get it moving on some other way. So we would request that the order be entered as presented.
Okay, I recommend we affirm the demolition order for 27 Elizabeth Street front.
And I'll concur. 4736 Elm Street.
4736 Elm Street, it's owned by two women named Buggs and Hayden. The notes indicate that the owner, Ms. Buggs, passed away in 2018, and we've had to cut and clean the property for 2 years. There's a hole in the roof. Neighbors have complained about the gutters falling onto their neighbor's home. There's some, it is in disrepair. There's an abandoned car in the driveway. Given the condition of the property and the fact that we do have good service, at least on one of the owners, we would request that the order be entered as, affirmed as presented.
Okay, I recommend we affirm the demolition order for 4736 Elm Street.
And I'll concur with that. 1030 Highland Street Garage.
Good news, this probably would have been kind of fun to self-demo, but it was self-demoed. It's gone now, the structure. So that is great news, and Kelly, Mr. Kearney has signed off on it, and we would request that this be removed from the demo list as for compliance.
Did I recommend that it's removed? Okay. I'm going to recommend that we remove 1030 Highland Street Garage from the demo list.
And I'll concur. One two three Hoffman Street rear.
Yes, it's a garage structure, an accessory structure. You can see here some overgrowth. The garage is in disrepair. Fence is leaning against it. It's fallen apart. We would request, and for some reason we've had no contact from Mr. Herrera, the owner, so we would request that the order be entered as presented. We do have good service.
Okay, I recommend we affirm the demolition order for 1123 Hoffman Street rear.
And I'll concur. 919 Kenwood Street Garage.
Yes, this is a property owned by someone named the Joneses, and this is the condition of the garage. It's in pretty poor shape. You can see the roof is failing. We'd request that the order be entered as, or affirmed as presented. We do have good service.
I recommend we affirm the demolition order for 919 Kenwood Street garage.
And I'll concur. 4913 Linden Avenue.
4913 Linden, the owner's listed as Zimbicki. It's been vacant for several years, boarded up in January of 2018. There's been no NIPSCO on the property, and water's been off since 2016. You can see the condition is overgrown, unkept, and boarded up. We would request that the order be entered, as presented. We do have good service.
Recommend we affirm the demolition order for 4913 Linden Avenue.
And I'll concur. 919 Lion Street, front and garage.
Good morning. Great. So we do have a little, like a kind of a house and garage situation going on here on Lyons.
Would you care?
Sure, I would care. Let's see, we'll give you, I'm going to show you these photos if I could. Could you just state your name and your association with?
My name is Rulio Avila. We bought the house and land contract from Bellamy Group.
Okay.
And me and my brother are.
Okay,
Mark.
great. So we don't have a copy, the copy of their contract doesn't show up in the title. So just so you know that it wasn't in the title work that we got from the title company. So you may want to make sure that it's recorded
Okay.
down at the county so it does show up.
Okay, I'll make sure that we have the
Yeah,
paperwork.
that's great. I'm just telling you because it doesn't show up, so we didn't even know you owned it.
Okay.
All right, so make sure you record it. That's going to protect you.
Okay.
Okay? So here's the picture of the house. There's a picture of the garage. You guys agree that
Yes,
that's the
it's
house and garage? Okay, let me just show the board those photos. When did you purchase it?
3 years ago, summer of 2016.
Okay.
June or July.
So we show that the water's been off since 16.
Yes.
Okay.
Original intentions were we were gonna rehab it, but we had a family incident, so we sold it to another lady. She started demoing the inside, and she left it in terrible shape, and she disappeared, and we finally got a hold of her about 6 months ago, so we took it back.
You painted it white? Or is it white?
Yes,
Wow.
lime wash.
I see. Oh, lime wash. That sounds a lot fancier than painting it white. Yeah, okay.
It's better for the brick.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
Well, we'll show the,
That is just to show that the fascia, which was falling off.
yeah, it's fixed. Here, we'll show these photos. Let you guys look through these. And then what about the garage?
It's gone.
It's gone.
We done.
Okay. Did, Mr. Kearney is shaking his head, which means you didn't pull a permit,
Well,
probably.
I called to see what I needed to do, and I was told I was gonna get a call back, and I never got a call back.
Okay, well, let's just,
Well, do you get the deed properly recorded in your name, you're not gonna be able to pull a permit anyway. I typically don't have a problem with someone pulling a permit for demolition on a garage, because you're gonna be removing it anyway. But to go forward, doing the work that you're gonna be doing in the house.
Definitely.
You're gonna need agreement,
Yes.
proof of ownership, and then you're gonna have to pay for the inspection, demo inspection.
Yes.
Demo report, we'll draw up the rehab agreement, and then sign the rehab agreement, start reading contract, and you work as
yeah, see, here's the title work. It just shows Bellamy Group, just so you guys know. So there's no other,
Okay, well,
yeah. Just make sure you record that, because
Yes.
we wouldn't even be able, we could have noticed you up, then obviously you got noticed, maybe because we stuck it on the.
no, we tried to pull a permit before when we originally tried to rehab it, maybe that's how the letter came to my house. So, came to my personal residence.
All right,
You sign up for status, or? Ownership, and then we'll.
yeah, so
Pay
what,
for the demo inspection, create the report, create the rehab agreement.
okay, so do you want to enter it, or do you want to set it over for status?
I like to enter it, since it's been 3 years now that it's been sitting there. I could-
Okay,
they would've done a little work on it.
so a recommendation to the board would be that we enter the order of demolition, but that we hold off on doing any demolition work to give these folks some time to meet with Kelly and to, take a look at what's been going on out there, hopefully get everything squared away, and set it over for status on December 5th. So enter the order, but we'll hold on anything. Is that all right? Ellie, all right, so December 5th for status, but we'd request that order be entered. Do you have any objection to that? You understand what we're doing?
I don't understand.
Okay, so there's a demolition order because of the fact that we haven't had any contact with you guys and we want to make sure you do own it because we don't have paperwork
Yes.
that you do. We're going to proceed because at this point, our action is against the Bellamy Group, who we know has owned it. We don't know you guys own it because you don't have the paperwork. It's not recorded. And so our request is going to be to enter the order of demolition. They're going to consider that in a second. And if it's entered, nothing's going to happen, however, to give you time to get everything recorded, to meet with Kelly, and we're going to send it over for a status on December 5th.
So basically, the land contract we signed with the Bellamy Group, we just take
The recorder
it to the recorder, which is
in Crown Point.
in Crown Point, okay? And
Yep.
then we'll record it there.
And then you're going to meet with Kelly, you're going to make an appointment to go down there and get a demolition inspection and things like that, so you can take a look. So, all right?
Yep. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna recommend that we affirm the demolition order for 919 Lion Street, front and garage. However, we set it for December 5th for status.
And I'll concur.
Thank you.
Thank you. 6312 Madison Avenue, front and rear.
6312 Madison. It shows owner as William Chester and new REZ LLC DBA Shell Point Mortgage. It looks like it's an illegal 3-unit. that there might be squatters there. There's an, owners believed to have passed away, no utilities since 2018. You can see the side of the property right here shows a lot of garbage and a kind of a car, and that we don't know if there's squatters there or what's going on there. There's been complaints from the neighbors, so we'd like to enter the order, given the condition of the property, and enter that as presented. 6312 Madison, no one appears, and request to enter the order.
I recommend we affirm the order for demolition for 6312 Madison Avenue, front and rear.
I'll concur.
Okay, 1004
May Street Garage.
1004 May Street Garage, the owner's listed as the Hawkinses. Oh, hello. Are you Ms. Hawkins? All right. So Ms. Hawkins appears, she's the owner. It looks like we have, I just want to make sure that I can show the board the garage. Is this your house? And is that the garage? All right, well, that's okay. We're gonna get this all figured out. Ms. Hawkins, so do you agree that those are photos of your home that I just showed you? Okay. And what's the plan? Looks like you have an estimate?
And they're gonna come out and remeasure so I can get it done. They're gonna
Okay.
do the whole thing,
The whole thing, you're gonna, the garage? Okay.
put in the gutters.
Everything, okay. So she's got an estimate here from Kraz Construction for the garage. Looks like you signed a contract on the 23rd of October. So, Mr. Kearney, how do you want to proceed on that? You want to set it for status?
Set it for status.
Okay. So, so what we're going to do is we're going to set it over for December 5th. We'll check on the project. Hopefully, it's moving forward. And then if it's all good to go, then these guys will tell me that we can take it off the list.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking care of it. That's great. All right, so our recommendation would be to simply move this over for status for December 5th.
Okay, I recommend that we set 1004 May Street Garage over for status to December 5th.
And I'll concur.
Thank you. You're good to go.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. Linda will take your number.
7415 Montana Avenue.
Yes, this is it's owned by American Estate and Trust. I received a phone call from Jim Locke, who's an attorney down in Indianapolis, represents the bank. They're in a foreclosure situation. He indicated he wasn't going to appear. They're going to decide on a rehab. I told him that I was going to recommend that we enter the order, which I'm going to do right now, and ask that you enter the order as presented. We do have good service.
Okay, I recommend we affirm the demolition order for 7415 Montana Avenue.
I'll concur. 973 Reese Avenue Garage.
This is listed as the Quinoneses as the owner. No one appears. We do have good service. The garage is just in real bad shape, as you can see from the photos. So we would request that, given the condition of the garage, and that we do have good service, that the order for demolition of the garage on Reese Street be affirmed as presented.
I recommend we affirm the demolition order for 973 Reese Avenue for the garage.
And I'll concur. 1101 Roosevelt Street.
Yes. So the owner is listed as Scott. This has become a little bit of an issue. There's been police activity, squatters. There was a fire because I think they're using propane. This is what it looks like on the backside. Chief Margraf, you might be familiar with this area. It's off right near the river, right? Is that right? Mm-hmm. And so the side of the house is all blasted up too. So given the condition of the property, the fact that there's been trouble there, we would request that the order be entered and affirmed as presented. We do have good service.
Recommend we affirm the order for, the demolition order for 1101 Roosevelt Street.
And I'll concur. 650 Sibley Street rear.
This is another property that I believe the fire department's probably familiar with. The front property we demoed several years ago. There's been multiple arson attempts on this property. It's a old kind of red brick area. It's right off here, right near downtown. And we would request that the order be entered as presented. We do have good service. Owner's listed as Alvarez.
Recommend we affirm the demolition order for 650 Sibley Street rear.
I'll concur. 3940 Torrance Avenue, front and garage.
3940 Torrance is owned by Dakota Properties LLC, who is a known rehabber in the city. Hi. Good morning. The notes indicate the property is vacant and it just hadn't been being maintained. The garage is in bad condition. I can show you photos. It's been cited for violations, some open windows, broken windows, and no NIPSCO, as well as the gutters hanging down from the garage. I'm sure this gentleman will have an update for us, but I do want to at least show you the photos that we have that were taken several months ago. So just want to show you those photos. Is that the property we're talking about? Okay, I might have another one, sorry. I might not have one. Yeah, the front of it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Okay. All right, I'm going to show those to the board. And then you can maybe, if you could just state your name and your association with the owner, and we'll go ahead and take some information from it. Sure.
Properties. We paid for the demo inspection and then walked through with Inspector Luter on September 24th. And he gave us, he sent an email of a list of things that need to be done. And the next step that we were waiting for was a rehab contract that he was supposed to send to us for us to sign something. And we haven't received that yet. I followed up with him a couple of times, and then this came, so we're showing up today.
Yeah, so the process is moving, which is good. I believe Mr. Kearney indicated that Dakota, has done other rehabs in the city, and we anticipate that they will perform on this one. In these situations, though, we do like to enter the order because there is a demo inspection already been done that allows us to have the order in place if when we do the rehab agreement, which I'm sure will be coming in the next couple weeks, we'll be good to go. So we'd request the order be entered as long as there's no objection from Mr. Richter, and then we'll set it over for status for the 5th of December.
Okay, I recommend we affirm the demolition order for 3940 Torrance Avenue, front and garage, and set it for status for December 5th, 2019.
All right.
And I'll concur.
Thanks for coming in. If you could just leave your information.
Thank you.
Linda. Thanks.
19 Webb Street, front and garage.
Yes, we've made it to the end. Thank you for your indulgence. This is, the owner's listed as Mr. Perez. See Mr. Perez here. Interesting property. For some reason, the city has no history of water service, even though the city's, I'm sure this is over 100 years old, so that's strange, but you can see kind of the wood siding. The city's had to kind of board up the front of it. Whoops, down there. This one's upside down. And then the garage is kind of open to the elements. So we're not sure what's going on there, but given the condition of the property and the fact we do have some neighbor complaints going on, obviously, we'd request the order be affirmed as presented.
Okay, I recommend we affirm the demolition order for 19 Webb Street, front and garage.
And I'll concur.
Thank you for getting us through that. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing them forward, Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir.
Item F, notice of violation hearing on property located at 1630 Myrtle Street.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Board. After inspecting the property at 1630 Myrtle with Inspector Farrell and the owner, Mr. Julian, and performing extensive permit research, we have indicated that this property is not currently coded to meet a 2-unit property, and we request the affirm for the removal.
Is this the?
This is the owner.
The owner,
Can you give us your name, sir?
my name is Gregory Julian. I purchased this property in July 2019 as a 2-unit apartment, which was registered in the city of Hammond. So before I purchased this property, I checked that and it was registered as a 2 unit. So my intention was remodel this property, bring it to the code, because this property was very old, and rent it as a 2 unit apartment. And I find out when I start the work that I can't. It was legally registered as a 2 units, but I cannot have 2 units. And I do not understand why. I mean, it was registered in the city, in Hammond, and I cannot have a 2 units. I have to convert it to single family. And,
So initially, when this property was brought to our attention, it was determined that the property is being worked on without any permits. So there was no permits applied for or issued for this work to begin. The history, the registration on the property was, previous owner did register it with 1 unit being occupied and an affidavit for the second being vacant. At that point in time, we hadn't received any complaints or any police calls or fire calls to determine that an inspection would be required. Once we were notified work was being performed without permits, Chris had reached out to the owner after posting a stop work order and then set up the inspection. The entire property was gutted, and there was already a new exterior rear access structure built for the property to access the second floor. Based on the permit history for the property or lack thereof, and based on the fact that the property, when you have 50% or more being repaired, remodeled, or replaced, or 75% of the value, you have to meet current code requirements. This property, the parcel lot, the size, does not meet the size requirement for a 2-unit property. So even if we were to issue permits for the work, it would be illegal for us we would be violating our own ordinances if we issued permits to put 2 units back. So we're at a crossroads here based on the fact that there aren't existing permits for the property to have been converted to a 2-unit. There's no fire separation between the units. It's a balloon frame construction home. And so we are requesting that the board affirm the removal of the second floor based on those facts.
yeah, but there also was 2 meters, gas meters. There was 2 electric meters. Somebody's supposed to, it couldn't happen like overnight. There was a NIPSCO involved in that. There was, illegally, everything it was built as a 2-unit.
Right, and as the board is aware, during the time frames, 1930s and 40s, these properties, especially in the Robertsdale, Whiting area, were converted. Unfortunately, back then, I can't speak to their policy as far as what they would require if an electrical service was installed or gas service, but now we have checks and balances in place where if that was to occur, it would require an inspection to get turned on.
But I'm willing to invest money and then bring everything to the code, so everything can be legal
And that's the issue that we're facing is the property cannot meet code as a 2-unit. You need a minimum of a 50-foot lot. This lot on Myrtle is nowhere near 50 feet. So we couldn't issue permits as a 2-unit.
So why you register this property as a 2-unit?
We didn't register it.
It was registered in the city of
Correct. The owner
Hammond.
submitted a registration, and it was receipted. And we cannot, like I explained before, Mr. Son, we cannot deny somebody who rents a registration. They submit them. They have between January 1st, April 15th of every year. It's impossible to inspect every single rental property within that time frame. And then once we are a complaint-driven department, we inspect based on the need to inspect.
Oh, my God.
So my understanding that the reason that the city found out about this is because someone had notified you folks that there was work being done with no permits.
Correct.
Consequently, you respond out there and you see this happening.
Correct.
And make him aware.
Right.
And that brings us to here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yep.
that's right. I mean, it was, this property was in such a bad condition that we had to remove a few things, and then,
But again, this is something you guys did on your own without the city's knowledge, correct?
yeah.
Okay. So obviously, you want to do the right thing, but the city
Yes,
law
and
is
I get
keeping you from doing the right thing because the lot size is not big enough. Is that the way I
Well,
understand it?
we can issue him permits to reconstruct the property as a single-family home.
No, I understand
Yeah.
that, but not a two
Correct.
Not a
unit
2-unit.
because
Correct.
of the restrictions the city has.
Right, and because the property was never permitted to be converted to a 2-unit. It was built as a single-family home, and somewhere
was
between its
registered as a
property, It was, registration does not determine legality. The building codes and the material and construction that's in place, that would determine legality. So we would request that the second floor apartment be affirmed for removal based on the position that there were never any permits for its legal existence, as well as the fact that the property cannot meet current code requirements as a two-family dwelling.
I mean, is there any common ground that you guys can make here, or no?
I mean, I would like to keep it 2 units. I really do. I mean, it was built, it was requested. I mean, with all my respect, I received notice. I got a few buildings in Whiting, Indiana. I request notices when the grass is too high. Okay. So you were there. You saw the building. You saw how bad shape the building was. Why you couldn't?
Mr. Dusan, I'm not arguing in the fact that you would do a good job or that, the work that you would do would be, to par. However, the homes up there, especially, Mr. Margaret, I mean, they're well within, the minimum 6 foot, between existing structures. It's a fire code requirement. So, I mean, even as a single-family home, if this property was a total loss, it wouldn't even be allowed to be rebuilt because the lot is not big enough for a single-family home even. We'd have a vacant lot. So unfortunately, there's no way for us to legally allow a 2-unit property if, in the event of a total loss, we couldn't even permit a single-family home to be reconstructed because the lot size does not allow for it. It would violate state statute as well as City of Hammond code requirements and the National Fire Code requirements. We are more than willing to work with the owner to obtain licensed contractors to complete the work as a single-family home. However, we would be violating our own laws and requirements if we allowed 2 units there.
But don't you have any things like a grandfather rules?
No.
That something was done.
Right there. So
By
a
someone.
common misconception with the grandfather clause is if it's in the exact condition in which it was constructed, still occupied and maintained in a safe condition, it can remain in that legal non-conforming use. Where this property has been illegally converted to a 2-unit property and then gutted, and it is now, sitting as a vacant. I'm not doubting that. I'm not arguing that.
My recommendation is going to be, sir, we appreciate the fact that you are taking a property that was in disarray and you're making it better, okay? The bottom line is, though, is the property is not big enough lot size to make it a 2-unit building. We can debate this all day long, but that's the fact. So that's going to be, my recommendation is going to be that we remove the 2nd unit.
And I'll concur.
I'm sorry, okay?
Thank you.
So do you want me to convert to single family?
Exactly as he said, get permits,
Yeah,
get
licensed
legal permits, and
How much time do I have for that?
I mean, we'll work with you. That's what our time frames. Yes, sir.
Stay in contact and let us know what the plan is.
Thank you again. Item G, rental registration hearing on property located at 4721 Hickory Avenue. Mr. Antonio, okay.
good morning.
Good morning.
Address?
Address is 4721 Hickory. My name is Jose. Antonio is the owner.
Where does Antonio live?
He lives in Chicago, 3913.
Okay, we have this as 1 unit. Mr. Sanchez Ramirez purchased this property July 3rd, 2019 of this year. This is 1 unit, so he did not register for this year. Per water, we have 0 usage in July, but between July and September, we have about 4,000 units. So it appears that someone was staying there. So we're asking for rental registration for 2019, 1 unit. Can you explain?
After the purchase, we did take some time to repaint and clean the house out, and then we had to wait for the insurance company, but they took about 2 weeks. So by the time we were gonna get the permit, we were out of the time limit.
Well, let me ask you, is this your only rental property in Hampton?
No.
So you have others?
Yes.
And so you're aware of the rental registration part of this?
Yes.
I'm going to recommend we waive the late fee. You can register the building after the conclusion of today's meeting at a cost of $5. Okay?
And I'll concur.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item H, correspondence received requesting a rental registration hearing. Today you're not going to be here.
That's why I love that. Okay, I'm going to recommend we set that hearing for November 21st, 2019.
You know what else that is? Phantasm. And I'll concur.
Yeah, bring that up. I want to have Dennis.
Item I, agreement to rehabilitate property located at 7337 Carolina Avenue.
Mr. President, this was recommended by our inspector out at this property, and we've also had contact with the owner. This and the next one actually are the same owner, so we'd recommend both I and J be approved.
Do one at a time?
We can do them together if you want.
Do you need to read that one?
One at a time.
Okay. I recommend that we approve the rehabilitation agreement for 7337 Caroline Avenue.
And you have my concurrence on that as well. Item J, agreement to rehabilitate property located at 6231 Blaine Avenue.
I also recommend we approve the agreement to rehabilitate 6231 Blaine Avenue.
And I concur. It's hard to get that rehabilitated out there, man.
Concurrence with?
Rehabilitate, no,
It's hard to get that out
word
there.
out.
Yeah. Item K, license agreement renewal with Hammond Pest Control, 664 State Street. I'm guessing this is your,
It is a
approval, Mr.
memo.
Smith?
It is. It's a memo from Mr. Novak over at HDEM, which I requested. It's a continuous, it's a renewal of a contract that he believes is important for the city, so we requested it be approved.
okay.
Okay, I recommend we approve the license agreement with Hammond Pest Control.
And I'll concur. Item L, correspondence received from Mr. David Copanda, 172nd Street and Tapper Avenue, requesting signage be placed to aid in exiting his driveway. Should we refer this to engineering or Public Works? Public Works.
Okay, I recommend we forward the correspondence from Mr. Copanda to Public Works for their review.
And I'll concur. I'd like to have read that. Item M, garage sale permits submitted for approval.
Okay, I recommend we approve the garage sale permits.
And I'll concur. Item number 6, matters from other board members. First item is a right-of-way permit from Midwest Budget Concrete and Masonry, 1715 Davis Street. They're doing some city sidewalk, it appears. 40 by 5 of city walk, repair and replacing. November 25th. They start the 17th of October, completion 25 November. Obviously, the work must be being done as we speak. They were starting.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is the permit, correct? Oh, I'm
Right-of-way
sorry.
permit, right-of-way
Yeah,
permit.
right, yes, I'm sorry.
You are somewhat familiar with this?
I am now,
take it?
now that I had something else on my mind. I'm sorry, I thought it was a different contract. I saw the blue and I assumed contract.
So we're good?
Yes, we are good. I apologize about the
Okay.
confusion.
So we're recommending that I'm going to make a recommendation to approve the right-of-way permit for what address? 1715 Davis.
And I'll concur. The next item is a request from Councilman Pete Torres for some requesting funding for some second district, what is it? Supervision contract with VS Engineering, cost of $625,786.92 for the construction contract with Midwestern Electric, and $51,100 for the supervision contract with VS Engineering. The request has been signed by the councilman as well as Mayor McDermott.
I recommend we approve Councilman Torres' request.
And I'll concur. Number 3 is a contract with First Group Engineering to provide services for the lighting project in the 4th District. Mr. Smith has vetted this. And we're good?
We are.
We're good with this? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I recommend that we approve the contract with First Group Engineering.
And I'll concur. And that is all this board member has. Anything, Mr. Long?
I don't have anything, sir.
Any department heads or their representatives has anything they'd like to add to the meeting today?
Yes, good morning. Kevin Smith from the Law Department. Ms. Monica Scott showed up late regarding 1101 Roosevelt. This is that, she can come up if she's here. This is that property, you may recall, it had the propane, the burn in the back. This has been an ongoing problem for the city for several years. Ms. Scott, I can let you know that the board entered the order of demolition today. If you would like, however, to speak to the board about that, you can at this time, but I would also let you know that the proper procedure would be to go down and pay for a demolition inspection downstairs. That way you can have the property inspected, they can tell you what needs to be done, and if you have the financial wherewithal to make the repairs, you have to post a bond and things like that. If you can do that, we'll let you repair it. If you can't, it's going to get knocked down. So, but you can go ahead and speak to the board. Just make sure you say your name and where you live.
My name's Monica Scott. I own the house at, excuse me, 1101 Roosevelt.
Do you live there as well?
When it was working, I lived there.
Where do you live now?
I live at 533 143rd Street in East Chicago.
533, okay, got it. Go ahead.
I've been in and out of the hospital. I'm out of the hospital now. I'm getting better, and I filed my taxes. I get another check on the 3rd. I'm hoping that I can save this house.
Did you understand what the process you have to take from here forward to try to save the house?
Yeah.
You do understand that?
Yeah, he said I had to go down. I don't have the money this day, but on the 3rd I'll have it, or the 4th. I'll have some money.
Yeah, so Ms. Scott, just so you know, so the next step is to bid it out for demolition. That's going to take 6 to 8 weeks. So as long as you can go down there and pay for the inspection.
Oh, yeah.
Get it paid. Mr. Kearney will at least send an inspector out there, but the process kind of moves along. You just have to do your part, like pay for the inspection. If you get the inspection.
Yeah, that's fine.
I also spoke to Ms. Scott. We've been in communication over the last couple of years. She is good at actually communicating with us. I did inform her that there is a board-up fee due of a certain amount. She came in last week. That's why I spoke to her to tell her to come in today. There is a board-up fee due. I did explain to her about the demo inspection. She would need to pay, and whatnot. So I kind of make it aware to her that, I was on the inside of this house. This might be a little bit too much for her at this time, but it's totally up to her. So I just want to put that on record as well.
Okay, you understand that, Ms. Scott?
Yes, I do.
The city doesn't want to demo. We do want to make sure that they're livable and presentable to the neighbors and the neighborhoods.
Right.
So if you're able to fix it, of course, that's what we want, but you have to make sure you follow that process.
Okay.
Because if not, in 6 to 8 weeks or so, the house is going to be demoed. So we just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, no
So
problem.
go downstairs at the conclusion of today's meeting and start that process, okay?
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any other department heads or their representatives, anything they'd like to add today? Oh, new business? None. Old business, AA, hearing on dangerous dogs.
Hi, guys. So I haven't seen the animal control, if they're out in the hallway. Well, I don't know if they're out in the hallway or not. Ms. Hill is over in city court.
She just walked in.
Ms. Hill's here. She appeared. And so, as you may recall, last week, these gentlemen who are the owners of the dogs indicated that they would comply with muzzling the dog. I'm assuming that happened. And that they were going to look into the cost of a 6-foot fence and liability insurance in the amount of $300,000. So I guess I'll ask the owners here to report where we're at and to determine whether or not that's going to be the agreement of the parties. If it's not, then we're going to have to set it over for a trial. Go ahead, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're
Just
in
identify yourself for the
Hi,
record.
my name is Theodore Wagner.
And I'm Alejandro Wagner.
So we're in the process of complying with all their requests, but we're finding that it's difficult to secure this insurance with the declaration by animal control that they're dangerous animals. So during all the quote processes for insurance, they ask us, have these animals been declared dangerous? And we have to, answer that question. And so we're finding it difficult to secure insurance. So at this point, yeah, we're gonna build the fence. The fence is gonna begin construction next Friday.
Just make sure you guys get permits. Don't
Oh,
gotta go get
okay,
permits. Yeah.
thank you. So, so we're gonna comply with all of the requests, not only for our safety and public safety, but because, they're like rational things to do. However, at this point, the declaration of the dogs as dangerous is gonna make it financially more difficult for us to keep insurance, and also it's gonna, maybe expose us to future legal liability.
Can I ask a question of you? Is this the first time the dog or dogs has bitten someone?
Yes.
And they generally stay in the yard?
Yes.
They generally, and if you take them outside of your fenced-in yard, obviously they're leashed, I'm guessing, right?
Yes.
And now muzzle.
And now muzzle.
And
Without muscles, of course, without muzzles. So this is the first time this has happened, and the door, the gate was left open, I'm guessing by accident?
So we previously resided at a residence that didn't have a fence. It didn't have a fence.
Okay.
And the dog kind of snuck out the back door.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So I gotta believe you guys are a little bit smarter to that today.
Yes.
So given the Wagner's assurances regarding the fence, which is good news, what I'd like to do is kick it over 2 weeks. It'll allow them time to, let's see if we can get the permits going. And then I'd also like them to communicate with the law department regarding the agents that they have talked to for insurance, to see if we can get that worked out with the agent, to see if we can figure out how as a way that it also protects the city, gets them insurance. Because it's really, at the end of the day, having insurance for them is the best thing, because that way if the dogs do happen to get out somehow, if they do, not have their muzzles on, and they do bite someone, the person that's bit is then protected.
Sure.
With insurance, and they're protected because they're not paying out of pocket from a lawsuit, right? If you have insurance, they'll appoint a lawyer for you. They cover, they cover the cost. They cover the cost of any judgment against you, and it's protection for both them and the folks that could get bit. So,
Is our ordinance written in such a way that a one-time dog bite is an automatic label on the dog as being dangerous?
so the actual finding of dangerous in the ordinance is done by the animal control. And Ms. Hill can probably explain that to you real quick.
It can be, depending on what's happened. And I don't know that animal control would agree that this is the only incident. Unfortunately, I can't ask them right now.
No, that's fair enough.
Obviously,
Sure.
it's our burden of proof to prove that the dog is dangerous and they need to comply.
Okay.
But the finding of dangerous dog is based on animal control. They make the decision based on a lot of factors.
And then and then the Wagners have appealed that decision to you under the ordinance. It would be up to you to either affirm that decision or overrule it.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, Kevin, is since once the construction of the fence begins, can we remove that? Can we remove that just to help them get insurance?
That would be up
We
to
know
animal
everything else.
control and you.
Okay.
They have timely filed their appeal. They're here correctly. And so that's kind of what you would have to decide. So that's what I'm thinking. Let's kick it over for status. Let's allow the Wagners to go down and get the proper permits for the fence. And then we can have them back in a couple weeks and see where we're at, if that's okay with the Wagners.
You guys?
Yeah, that works for us.
So we'll set it, I think that would be the 12th or the, what, 13th?
November 14th?
Okay.
November 14th?
Okay, I'm gonna recommend that we, set this over for status, for November 14, 2019.
And I'll concur.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a blessed
Thank
day.
you.
Just to be clear, I'm sorry, it would be a status on the 14th?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's nothing else under old business. Meeting open to the public. Anyone out here like to speak to us today?
Okay, I'm gonna recommend that we adjourn the meeting.
And I'm going to concur. Thank you. Happy Halloween.